Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video from Excel Nerds. Today we're learning about three of the major count functions. These are three very useful functions, but they each do a little bit different things, so let's just jump right in. The first function we're going to talk about is the count function. This function will count the number of cells that have a number in it. So if I highlight this, I get 181. However, if we go down to the bottom of our data set, you'll notice I have 182 rows. That is because count does not count text as part of its function. So if I change that to a 1, I get 182. Likewise, if I start deleting things or I had blank pieces of my data, it would not show up. This is a very useful function to get some stats about your workbook at a glance, feed into other functions, or just use as a reference to see if your data is complete. If I knew that column C should have a value for every single date and the count was less than 181, I would know there's a blank cell somewhere. So there's a lot of ways you can use it, but the important thing to know is that the count function just counts the number of cells with the number in it. The next function we'll talk about is the Countif function. What this function does is it allows you to count the number of cells that meet a certain criteria. So the Countif function takes a range and a criteria. The range that I'm selecting in this case is column C, and then I'm searching for how many days I published at least one video. So I put the comparison operator in quotes, I added the ampersand sign, and then typed 0. This function is now going to search the entire column and tell me how many days I published at least one video. So I know that 131 days out of this data set I published at least one video. The Countif function can also be used to search for very specific text strings or dates. If I wanted to search for the number of times that January 5th, 2018 came up, I can do that. In this case, I know it's 1, but imagine if someone was manually entering all this data and they accidentally inserted January 5th, 2018 twice. Now my Countif function has returned a 2. But I know that I should really only have one piece of data or one row of data for each date. So I know that there's something wrong immediately and I can correct that. So the Countifs function is where things really start to get interesting. This is where you can stack multiple criteria inside your function to get exactly what you want. We're not going to be summing anything. This is different from a sum function or anything like that. We're literally going to count the number of times that a certain criteria is met. So let's say we wanted to find the number of days in February in which we had greater than 20,000 views. We're going to need 3 different criteria. The first is in column B, we have to have greater than 20,000. The second criteria is that in column A, our date is at least February 1st or greater. The third criteria is going to be that it's less than March 1st, 2018. And because we know this data set, we know that that means we're basically just looking within the month of February. So I'll open my Countifs function. I'm going to select column B. Then I build my comparison operator. We're looking for views of greater than 20,000. Select column A. We're looking for greater than or equal to February 1st. Our last criteria is again looking in column A, but less than March 1st. So when I finish that, I can see that I've had 20 days out of the month in which I had at least 20,000 views. I can also do the same thing in column C with this same formula to check how many days I published at least one video. So instead of searching column B for over 20,000, I'm going to search column C, and then I want greater than 0. Enter. So 21 days out of this month, I published at least one video.